Hi, everyone. I'm here with Brian Sanchez, who is a personal trainer at Fitness for 10 in Carson City. Go say hi to him if you're in the area. Thanks for being here, Brian.
Thanks for letting me come and join you, Steve. And yes, please, everybody, come down and see us down in Carson City. We're crushing it. Come join us.
Yeah, I was thinking, should I invite him today or?
You probably shouldn't. I'm all fired up. Too many cups of coffee, Steve.
Uh-oh. All right, so we're going to talk about, coaches. What we mean is personal trainers, nutritionists, people that provide services for that are going to coach you in your workout program in nutrition, and everyone's different.
Right.
And like my experience is, where does it come from? There's so many variables. It's not just education, it's not just certification's different. There's different certifications. Some are better than others, some are way better than others when it comes to personal trainer, when it comes to nutrition or whatever it is. And we want to talk a little bit about the difference between your nutritionist, your certified nutritionist, and your certified personal trainer. Also, for me, I've been doing this for 45 years and I've learned a lot and things have changed. I was trained by one of the best strength coaches in the country when I was playing college football. I wouldn't trade that for anything. And he was kind of before his time, but the technique and all that stuff was, we were doing things that people didn't start doing for 10 years after I was doing them. So um, he was my coach, and that's where a lot of, now I've got a lot of classes, a lot of nutrition classes, and exercise physiology, read a lot of books, but I don't have a degree in nutrition or exercise physiology. I've taken a lot of classes and I've done this for a long, long time, and I have my experience. So I can tell you, as far as nutrition, what works for me, what I've learned. And so people who have a lot of experience can tell you that, but you got to line that up with what are their degrees, what have they learned, what is the recent science, because that matters too. So what are your first thoughts on this, Brian, on whether you're picking a coach? uh, who should you listen to as far as nutrition? Who should you listen to as far as your weight training program and what your exercise program should be, and some of the different certifications?
So when it comes to personal trainers, and let's just do it this way: personal trainers compared to nutritionists, dietitians, things like this, there's a huge difference. Sometimes they can be one and the same. If a licensed dietitian is in the fitness industry, they can be a personal trainer. They might even go and get certifications in personal training. An example could be we're talking certifications. My education and background was not this. This is a secondary career for me. I went through my entire career. Mine was all focused in government, law enforcement to be specific. A part of that got me into the studies of the body when I was a contractor for a while, which led to certain schools that I went to, and I learned about the body, how to use it, how to manipulate it, things of this nature. Now, when I left or prior to leaving law enforcement, because I knew the body and I was an avid gym person, I really liked the idea of um, working in a gym. So I took it upon myself to join a program, and mine was the National Academy of Sports Medicine. But all that does, it's an accredited program, but all that did for me was give me certifications in personal training, behavioral change, things of this nature, with course study in nutrition, which helps me to understand how to use food, or it helps me to understand the difference between a a protein and a carbohydrate or a fat. It helps me to understand what macros are. It helps me to understand what is a calorie. How does a calorie burn? It helps me to understand caloric deficit versus overeating and undereating. And because of that, when I'm working with people and they're asking me questions and they're choosing who their next coach should be, I'm very keen to what they're asking. And I think if you're walking into a gym, you want to know if you really focused on your eating and controlled dieting so that you can work on a weight loss program for yourself. A certified trainer can guide you, but you have to understand that doesn't mean they're a nutritionist and or they're definitely not most of the time a licensed dietitian. So if I can go and I can get a certification as a personal trainer, that does not mean I have a bachelor's in a dietitian type education. I haven't taken a national exam as a dietitian. I haven't done there's like a program they have to go for like 6 to 12 months. The only way I can describe it is as an understudy, maybe, where they get prepared for the national exams. And it's all based on, there's a commission for dietitians. And it's all based on that group and it's certified by that group. And it's a very long process. And they're extremely knowledgeable about everything that has to do with the eating and the dieting and things of that nature. So don't cross that with talking to your trainer and saying, hey, write me a diet plan. That doesn't mean you're getting something based on a true education as a dietitian would write you. A trainer can help you think about what you're going to eat, can talk to you about why you would want maybe a caloric deficit to lose weight, things of that nature. It's very important to understand that. It's like you're not going to go to a landscaper and ask them plumbing questions. They might understand it a little bit because they might put some systems in for like watering, but that doesn't make them a plumber or a certified plumber. Or asking a medical question of a trainer when you should be talking to a doctor. When people come in and ask us, my elbow hurts, what do you think it is? You got to remember they're not medical, they're trainers. They have no certifications on diagnosing anything. They might say, oh, what'd you do? Maybe you hurt a tendon or maybe you pulled a muscle. They can talk general knowledge, but they can't diagnose you whatsoever. So I think that when you're searching out who your coach is going to be, understand first off the limitations of a personal trainer. They can do wonderful things for you, give you excellent guidance, but please don't make the mistake to think that that is their world and they know the expertise of food, medical questions. They'll have a basic knowledge of, how medicines can impact, how the heart's reacting and working or the cardiovascular system, things of that nature, what statins can do to the body, what things like that might do to it. They'll have that basic understanding, but they're not certified in medicines, in nutrition, in diets, if that makes sense, Steve. It doesn't
Yeah.
make them bad people because they can point you in all the right directions. But even trainers who go through accredited programs will tell you their education when they're going through these programs. I can tell you NASM does this, the group that I'm certified through. They flat out tell you, make sure you let them know that you're not a nutritionist, that you're not a dietitian, that you're not a medical person, that they seek a person with a higher level of education for those very critical things.
Yeah. I mean, you're like a strength coach. These
Right.
personal trainers are like a strength coach. Now, I will also say, look, I had all these nutrition classes and everything when I was in college. That was in the 80s. And 75% of what I learned is wrong now because the science changes. They're always learning new things.
Sure,
And
science is better now. We know more.
the nutrition classes that I took when I was studying all that, they told you don't eat fat. Fat is bad. Don't eat fat. No, we need fat. And, they're trying to keep people down at 10% fat as a percentage. And you just try to do that. You can't even do that. And if you do, you're probably going to feel like garbage because we need essential fatty acids. So I would also add that are these people that you're working with, are they keeping up with the research and the changing times? Because that's important too. You can't just get stuck in 10 years ago. I've owned health clubs for over 30 years now and been involved in health clubs for a long time, and things change. Now, the health club industry is always going to be around because we're not making wagon wheels. It's not something that's going to get passed up, but it evolves and it changes for sure. And what works, people's opinions change about that. So um, that
Well,
changes.
and I think that's an important part too, though, Steve, with that change, whether it be your personal trainer, whether it be your true licensed dietitian or your true certified nutritionist, everybody that's in those programs, that actually is a true program. And it's not something where you just pulled up a computer program, took a test, or not a computer program, but went online, took a test, and got a certificate. Anybody that's involved in these programs that are more, I hate to say, I don't know how to describe it, maybe legitimate accredited programs, if you will, in that sense. And that's not bagging on starting programs that don't require these things, but understand that they have continuing education that they have to continue to do to maintain their certifications. In other words, dietitians have to go to continuing education because their area of expertise and field in the world understands more every year, and they have to learn what's new. Personal trainers, they have to take, like through the program of NASM, you have to take X number of credits every 2 years to maintain your certifications, so you stay on top of the changes, things like that. And that's not a degree; that's just a certification that we hold through them. Whereas but this is this way with doctors, lawyers, you name any world of expertise. There's continuing education so that people can stay on top of it. So those are other things you want to look at to see if they hold current credentials and that they are staying on top of things as well.
Yeah, staying on top of things. And last thing I'll say is I'm looking up at my wall here, and I, I have a lot of degrees. I mean, I'm looking at one, two, three, four, five, six diplomas, all in business. I'm an MBA. And you'll see what my point is here. It's not that I'm a smart guy, because that's not the point I'm making. 3 certifications from Villanova, Lean Six Sigma. I'm a financial green belt. Those are all business certifications and degrees. MBA finance, commercial recreation, which is the business that I'm in. Um, I'm an accredited asset management specialist. So listen to this point. Just because of that, I will guarantee you that there are people with a high school education, that's it, that are far better business people than I am.
Fact. That's
So
true.
that should tell you a lot. I will guarantee you, I will promise you that there are probably thousands of people with just high school degrees that would smoke me in business. And I'm a pretty successful businessman. So you can't just go by, I'm not saying a degree is not important. I have a lot of them. But don't discount the experience and that person's knowledge and where they got that knowledge. So you don't want to miss out on a phenomenal coach or trainer just because you're discounting what type of degree they have or where their education is from, because there is a lot of great coaches that don't have those certifications on the wall. That's all I'm saying.
No, and that's a great point too, Steve. Myself, I don't have degrees in exercise science or things like that, and I've had pretty good success as a coach. So, and that's with all the basics that I've done through the NASM group. Um, there is a lot to say about that. You don't need 20 degrees to have, or 20 degrees to have common sense. However, when you're talking about um, very specific programs, I think is really important to make sure that the people are credentialed in some of these areas. Because if things don't go the way they need to go, it can hurt people.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to be educated, and there's lots of ways to have that education and experience. So, Brian, appreciate your input. Any last thoughts on this?
Lift weights, have fun.
All right. We'll talk to you next time.
See you soon.